Welcome back. MTG Joe here, and we're going to be continuing our trek to Mythic. I just hit Diamond earlier with Mono Green Stompy, 11-2 with that list that we played the other day. So if you haven't checked it out, it's one of the stronger decks I've found this season in Standard. So what we're going to try today is a list off of the Red Bull Untapped from the recent MTG Melee tournament. Pretty much the main board. I switched up the sideboard because I wasn't really sure what they were doing with the sideboard. There's a lot of one-ofs that didn't really make sense. But this is a cycling deck, very similar to when Ikoria came out. There's a lot of decks that are looking to mill you right now, so might as well throw the Zenith Flares at them. Not a lot of counter magic being played, which is generally the deck's weakness. And having counters on stuff, there's a lot of targeted removal like Heartless Act that doesn't work as well. So with the deck, we are basically trying to play a bunch of cheap cyclers. So cycling is an activated ability from your hand that you can pay a mana and basically throw it in your graveyard, draw a card. There's payoffs to doing this. You have Flourishing Fox, which is the best turn 1 play in the deck. Whenever you cycle, it gets a 1/1 counter. Drannith Healer gains you life. Drannith Stinger deals 1 damage to each opponent. Valiant Rescuer creates a token each time you cycle a turn. So you can make 1 token per turn cycle. So you basically have those creatures as your setup, and then you're able to play Zenith Flare. Zenith Flare deals X damage to any permanent, and you gain X life, where X is the number of cycling cards in your graveyard. So the nice thing with the new set that we are able to get is the spell lands. So the deck generally played a lower count of lands because you really only needed for most of the deck to operate like 2 lands, and then every card replaces itself. So you eventually find your lands. In order to not run out of gas, you usually want to keep the land count lower. So we have stuff in the deck like Shatterskull Smashing, Spikefield Hazard, Sejiri Shelter, which can give protection, can allow us to either protect the Fox or make it unblockable. So there's ways like that. We're also using the Pathway lands. For the most part, it's a red-white deck. If you don't have these Pathway lands, you can just play Plains and Mountains. Really, this one is the one you're most concerned with for the deck. These ones are just offside if you want to cast like these other types of effects. I'd prefer those over the Trinomes. You usually don't want lands to come into play untapped unless they're these like utility spells. And then this list is opting to go with Footfall Craters. It's a way that you can enchant your land and give the Flourishing Fox trample late game. And then 1 Shredded Sails in the main. These are cards you could potentially cast as well. The Shredded Sails can deal 4 damage to creature flying, pretty much the rogue deck, Shark Typhoon token, stuff like that. Or you can destroy an artifact, very good against Clover or Mazemind's Home. The rest of the cards are really the only other one you might be casting for the actual effect is Gopher Blood. You can basically use it as a fight spell. Then the sideboard, I modified this. You generally don't want to over sideboard with this deck because it is a synergy based deck on cycling. Redcap Melee is for like your Gruul or mono red matchups. It can be a little challenging at times. Soul Guide Lanterns for the mirror if we do run to it, which is unlikely. But there's a Rakdos self-mill deck going around. Or the Grixis deck that plays Kroxa, a way to target it that way. Drannith Magistrate is for the adventure decks. They can't cast their spells from anywhere other than their hands. Another Sejiri Shelter just as protection. More Shredded Sails when we need them. Thundering Rebuke as damage. And then what I was thinking, in heavier counterspell matchups, I'll drop Lurrus and play Felidar Retreat as a way to create tokens with our lines coming into play. Because usually they can just hold up a counterspell for Zenith Flare, and then they can kind of get around those effects. So let's try it out. Should be Diamond 4. So we're in the basements of Diamond. We'll see if we can push this to Mythic. But if you are trying to look for a deck to rank up, highly suggest Mono Green Stompy. It's pretty much Rumty's list with an extra Scavenging Ooze in the side, and then one of the man lines. Oh shit, I just spilled coffee on my keyboard. Sorry about that. Hey KG. Yeah, it's I'm 11-2 with it now. I lost a close one to the four color adventures. Seems like the hardest deck. All right. You know when I laughed and said, "What if we run into the mirror?" What if we run into the mirror? Oh yeah, Rogues is hilarious. Especially just to get the spider, and then you bring in the pro black creature. So either they're on mill or they're on cycling. It's actually really good against Omnath Ramp. Omnath Adventures is a tough matchup. You need to have your spells kind of coincide. The fact that they can tempo so well hurts. The fact that the spider, they basically draw you into spider and then follow it up by killing one of their creatures, is just too good. Okay, so this is a Rakdos deck. Interesting. Let's go red here. So one thing you probably want to watch out for is the auto tapping. Because you can draw into like the 1-drops with this deck, you probably want to keep up white mana. So it's something I'm going to be mindful of and do my own tapping next turn. Okay, Grixis, Chandler. So I think I might fight this, to be honest. Let me cycle first, see what I hit. Okay, Drannith Stinger. Okay. Since I got a second threat, then I'm okay. I think we hold up this Sejiri Shelter going forward. Just protect the Fox and then cycle on their end step. We're getting pretty close to just burning them out with the Flare. Oh, it's Grixis. Oh, okay, so there's a Grixis Lurrus deck that's going around as well. We're going to play that on channel. They might just be dead. Yeah. Spin to win. Okay, so Grixis, they're probably playing Croxas, so the Soul Guides are probably something we want in. Shredded Sails, probably not. Maybe a couple Redcap. So this also shuts off Croxa. Okay, so let's get rid of Spikefield Hazard. It's not going to do that much. We'll bring in the other thing. 4 cuts. Probably... Yeah, I probably want the Redcap Melees. Just a couple. I don't think it matters what we cut. Just 4 cycling cards. That one seems the least effective. We'd expect more interaction. Actually, they probably will bring in some form of graveyard hate. So I'm going to see. This might be a matchup I get rid of Lurrus and play the Felidar Retreats. Opponent's on a bit more of a brew. We have a chance to get an untapped land. Otherwise, I have the Sejiri Shelter. an interesting play here if we go Valiant Rescuer. I think we hold Rescuer for when I can cycle in the same turn. And then what you want to do with the Heartless Act is wait for them to react. Let's just do this since they have that. This makes it a little worse. Kind of want to land here. Crawling Barrens. It's kind of pushing the mana. So I think instead of cycling this turn, because I want to get the value, we just do this. So we're going to take a turn off from being able to cycle. It's fine. They bring Lurrus to hand. Okay, so we got our land. I'm going to keep this as a fight spell. I think it's worth to fight the Lurrus. They're going to try to gain life with it. They brought in Shock against us. That's fine. Their mana is also a little restrictive, so they can't quite cast Lurrus yet. And then all this, we're just setting up to eventually have that Zenith Flare turn. Okay, we have a Zenith Flare and a Footfall Crater. This also gives haste. Interesting. Let's go red. So I can put Lurrus in hand. Okay, let me start off with attacking. Could see like Extinction Event out of them, naming even. That's fine. Kind of surprised they used the Shock there. So I can Zenith Flare. For 10. So next turn I can get Lurrus, cast Lurrus, and then do I have a Fox in the graveyard? Cast a Flourishing Fox. So doing this while they're tapped out, they can have like Negate or something in their deck. Have anything in their graveyard? No. And Seagate Stormcaller. Sure. So I can try to Boon We have a small chance of hitting, 8% chance of the Zenith Flare. I think we just go Lurrus this turn. Actually, I can't get value. My mana wasn't great. Okay, so I can use this to draw a card and then recast it with Lurrus. This also makes me a little bit better. I think I'm going to get rid of the Redcap Melees after seeing like the Storm Callers and the Lurrus doesn't do enough. I think we want Thundering Rebuke instead. I think that's fine for us. Okay, so I go Lurrus. I go Drannith Stinger. We just pass here. I want to keep this cycle available for next turn. Try not to draw Zenith Flare. Perfect. This can be a double removal spell. We're at 29 life. Spin to win, folks. I think we hold this land. Hager's Mauling doesn't. It's 2 CMC or less. Okay. They can activate this, tack us in. So this is one of the downsides when you cut too much. So they can block. Ah, I'm an idiot. I forgot about this. That was bad. That was dumb. That was dumb. Do I still have more of that discard one? But I probably just cycle everything at this point. I can activate it again. Hit me for 6. Hit me for 8 next turn. We want our Zenith Flare. We're going to get a land. Ah! Flood in a bit here. Made us for 10. Dead next turn. So I'm doing this. It gives us our best chance to draw into a flare. That's annoying. Ours to lose. We had an out if we drew the flare there. Okay, so these Redcap Melees can go away. Honestly, probably just... They brought in a lot of removal, so let's get rid of Lurrus. Let's bring in these Felidar retreats. Do we even have enough lions? You know what, I'm going to cut Felidar retreat. Seems bad. We don't play enough lions to really get use out of it. So probably just Thundering Rebuke. Just play one of that. I'm kind of upset with that game. I forgot about the land. I shouldn't have attacked. Okay, so of note, we don't have a turn 1 play. Gonna try to, if possible, hold this to be able to hit them. Sejiri Shelter. Actually, since we drew Sejiri Shelter, I'd rather hold up the protection spell. We have Footfall Crater. And just put this out. They'll have an opportunity to hit us here, but Mire Trident. This fights, right? Yeah. And milled 2 lands. So if I can hold up the protection, I'll just have this fight and then use the Flourishing Fox. They go Agonizing Remorse. Probably take one of these. Nothing's great in my hand right now, as opposed to like drawing into like Flare or something. Opponent's thinking hard about this one. All those draft cards, minus the Smashing. Smashing's a nice one. So I think we just hold up. Hey Makivo, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Testing out some cycling against Grixis Lurrus. Seagate Stormcaller. So see if this is removal. Double Agonizing Remorse. Well, in that case, protection from black. It's not too bad. Her contract got extended a month, so we're just waiting to see. Did do a temporary emote, but gonna see once things settle down. Alright, let's go cycling. Probably just put Lurrus into hand here. How's everything going on your end? Okay, we got the flare for next turn, so let's just hold off here. Ivanian, how's it going? Thanks for dropping by. We're up to diamond, trying some cycling action. I'll probably get a second blue source here. Okay, just Lurrus to hand. So Soul Guide's quite annoying. It's basically going to invalidate this Zenith Flare. Go Drannith. So the thing here, they're always going to have this up. So we kind of want them to pop it, but then they can cast it again with Lurrus. Let's just cycle here. Get in our chip damage. Yeah, that makes sense. I know a lot of people are unhappy with some of their decisions. So they can tap this at any time. No attacks here. So there's a lot of decks that are milling you right now, and there's not a lot of counter spells. So it's a good time to be progressive. Or progressive? Like, they're basically drawing you into your Zenith Flares. So they have to make a decision here. They can exile my graveyard if they want. They've already gotten a bunch of exile out of the way. I'm probably just gonna Lurrus next turn. Unless I draw another cycler. Probably cycle first and then play that out. They haven't really been showing removal. Opponent's deck's pretty sweet too. I think they're running too many castles, just based, like, temples and everything else is a little tough on the mana. Okay, they're gonna draw a card. Okay, so if I know they're gonna do that, there's a lot of people running like mill decks, so it's a good time to try to get under them. You get the free value. They cycle you in, and there's not as many... Sorry, they mill you into your cycle effects. So if they pop this to draw a card, then I'm going to Zenith Flare. If they don't, then I'm just going to cycle. Because the thing is, like, I can press... Yeah, that's one of the few decks I've actually lost to, Dimir Mill. They can hit me for 2, that's not a problem. That lets me crack back for 6. So now it's just a game of chicken. Do they tap out? Clocks are pretty even. Has felt like the opponents deliberated quite a bit. Kind of upset we lost match 2. I forgot about this land when I did an all-out attack, and I just ran my Fox into it. Come on, opponent. Hey. Yeah, I'll get a couple better emotes. I only have a 1 slot right now. You can't go wrong with mono red. The thing is with Omnath decks, it's probably a little tough. Okay, Soul Guide's pretty sweet. So I think we poke here. Kind of forces them to block. And then I can Soul Guide. Yeah, I could do something like that. Get my quarantine beard and everything going. So we're just playing chicken here. If they pop their Soul Guide Lantern, then I'll get them. If not, like, I just have to cycle a couple more cards here. We're in a pretty decent spot. So they name even here. Let's just try to kill them. So they have Storm Tamer. Takes them up to 6. They got a block there. Okay, so with the Lurrus drawn, so do I push out a Zenith Flare here? Or just play out my Lurrus? Because they just get another blocker next turn. Do I have a 1-drop? I don't. Oh no, but I can have Soul Guide Lantern. So let's do this now. They pop this. I pop my Soul Guide Lantern, and then I exile their graveyard. So I do this. I exile their graveyard, and now next turn I can Lurrus to my hand and then play the Soul Guide as well. They do have this up as a blocker. And now, at least now, any Zenith Flare off the top is lethal. It's been an interesting game. For as, like, linear Ooh, opponent's getting a little desperate. Might be a removal spell. Oh, no, just extinction event. So the nice thing here is I can cycle to draw a card every turn if I don't hit anything else. They have this up for 4 toughness, so we're not going to attack in just yet. That's annoying. They hit us for 4 here. Okay, they're tapped out otherwise, so again, just Zenith Flare off the top. No cyclers in the graveyard. Okay, that should keep us alive. Brings us to 8, but they can double activate. No, I think we're dead. If they see the line, they can double activate. Yeah, good game. We are 1 short. We needed 1 more life and we would have been fine. That was a really good game though. If that's how standard games will be going, then I'll be happy. I think what we want... Probably... So... My super secret Felidar tech is not really that good. You know what I think I want? Vortex. Because we can do a lot of chip damage, and then with the life gain we can catch up with Roiling Vortex. Against like slower decks, it's a way we can get around them. Because they're... Yeah, we'll fire up another one. Yeah. Probably fine. Omnath should be interesting. So this can be rogues. If this is rogues, I'm going to be very happy. Perfect. Liant. So hopefully it's not like removal. Okay, so it's Grixis. Need a white source here. Perfect. I think we... just play this out. The deck only plays like 16 lines, I think. It's a very limited number of lines the deck plays. So you just keep one-liners. If you have a bunch of cheap cyclers, then you're usually okay. Like here we just drew into our third line. Every card pretty much in our deck says pay 1 mana, draw a card. And we actively want to just go through them. So 4. This will be an interesting matchup as well. Because this version of Grixis does play more counter spells. They usually play 4 neutralize main. And then some number in the sideboard. Probably going to see some negates. They could Extinction Event here. Make 1 more token. Just gonna see if we can hit a land. Okay, with the flare, I think we do this. Okay, this is up to 9. Okay. So I think here we just get the damage in now while they're tapped out, while they also don't have the other blue. Don't care about Kroxa. Mace Mind's Tome. Easy peasy. You just point and go. So this matchup, want the Soul Guides, want the Vortex. I think Shredded Sails is actually okay in this matchup. And Sejiri Shelter. So I'm going to get rid of the Spikefield Hazard. Probably... I want to keep the creatures. Probably trim a land. These games will go long. I got 4 cuts. So they have Maze Mind's Tome. And then they'll also have Sharks, so it's relevant. So I think, again, we'll just get rid of the Startling Development. Because if we could just get like a dude down, they're going to shock themselves if we can race them, give them a point of damage. Alright, Fox go. 1-liner. Snap keep. Feel like if you have a land and a Fox, you keep. Okay, I would like a second land. There was maybe a line where we don't play out Fox and we cycle. Doesn't matter here. Why do you doubt? We always have the land. Magic's a skill game. I don't think Crocs is that great in this matchup. Well, I don't have red mana, so that kind of answers if I could Shredded Sails. I think I want to keep the protection spell for the following turn. just hit him for 6. So we can cycle 1 next turn. Okay, they're just mauling here, that's fine. See if we can hit red mana. Perfect. I don't really care about the tome until they can get to a point where they could gain life. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This matchup kind of feels like a nightmare for Grixis. We're just hitting them with like a bunch. Like a lot of our things are throwaway. Hit you for 1. Hit you for 1. So I'm gonna attack in. They're gonna try to shark to block, is my guess. And then I shredded wings the shark. Sounds like a plan. Yeah, it's pretty consistent. Like, again, whenever one of your cards cycles itself, it's pretty consistent. I think here we play out the Fox. And then next turn, Sejiri's Step to protect. We do want a cycle effect. Soul Guide's pretty sweet. This gets rid of Croxa. Let's draw a card. That's sweet. You know what card's great when you're at 20 life? And I have protection for the Fox. Yeah, Vortex is definitely the way to go. Unfortunately, we don't get to shut off their life gain next turn because we only have 1 red mana. If they don't do this now, then it's kind of bad on their part because I can shut off their life gain. Yeah, they do this. They gain their 4. I think we wait for them to kind of tap out now. Zenith Flare is basically game over for them. Or let's force their hand. Yeah, got neutralize. Second red's pretty good here. Okay, so our fox is gonna die. Gonna hold off on Lurrus here because I want to be able to have the protection spell up for it as well. Probably get the Drannith Stinger. Okay, that's a little scary. Okay, so let's cast Lurrus. Cast Drannith. Say go. Pro red. He could have negate. I'm just trying to stem some bleeding here. Like we're winning this race. Mystical Dispute. I have a 1-drop in my yard, right? This might just be another... Nope, not another dispute. They could Extinction Event in hand. We saw that the past game. Just Spikefield. Okay. They're out of gas. We got this Lurrus, even if they have... Like, still seems pretty good for us, all things considered. Cast Lurrus. Can you stop opponent? No. Like, really, opponent? You can stop. No negate, but they had the disputes. Got him. Let's go one more. For our deck that just draws cards, like these games have gone pretty long. We just give Arena a quick reset. How's everyone doing today? As we get Arena going, we are testing out a cycling deck. Pretty easy to build. Like, we're playing the pathways. You don't need to necessarily, just the red-white one I'd suggest. You can play basics. Yeah, that's one of the nicest arts. I tried to do the new Lotus Cobra, but it doesn't crop well, just of how the art was. Molten Vortex. I think we go up to 3 maybe in the sideboard. If we run into Grixis again, I think we do that. Played against 2 different types of Grixis today. Playing against Toes. Another Diamond 4 player. It's nice being at the floor as opposed to like 1. Okay, so I've won off multiple 1-landers. We can't win off a 0-lander. This is keep. Put back Shredded Sails. It's the most expensive. I'm not that adventurous. Hygra's Brood. Okay, so this can be... This is that Rakdos deck, probably, the self-mill one. Play out Drannith here, or Valiant Rescuer. So we've already seen 2 removal lands out of them, which is pretty good. Both of these would have been useful. Is everybody on Grixis today? It's a Grixis party. Just let it live. Just give it a turn. Okay. Bone Daddy. Let's make this one white. Kind of wish, in retrospect, we did the other order, just because the tokens would have been good against Bone Crusher. Can you stop, opponent? Okay, so we got the foxes. Manga Mania, thanks for stopping by. How's it going today? We are 1-1 with Boros, pretty much Boros cycling. We've ran into 3 different Grixis. Yeah, the main board's the one from the Red Bull. I'm just playing one less of these, the white-black pathways, because I don't have one. I changed up the sideboard. The sideboard didn't really make much sense to me. Okay, so we have a decision here, and I think it is to Zenith Flare the Ashiok. So you could run the pathways for, like, say if I want blue, I could technically cast this if you flood late game. So if the black one, you can, in some games you may want to cast Memory Leak from hand. It just gives you optionality. It's pretty much a free cost. They come into play untapped and they don't cost any life, unlike the shock lands. Okay, Bone Crusher. So like here, you can actually Startling Development on one of your own spells, and then its base power is 4/4, so then it becomes bigger here. Yeah, we occasionally actually cast spells out of our deck. They don't get cycled sometimes. I've used the fight one before. It's been relevant. So here, if they block with the Bone Crusher, I'll cycle the Fox. We don't get this effect, but it lets me keep it alive. And then if they have... Okay, so that resolves. And we cycle again. Then just trade for this Bone Crusher. Pretty decent. The cards have text beyond just cycling one. And we're like pretty locked and loaded to Zenith Flare at this point. They can Shark for 4 here. Okay, can also fight here. This just making us be able to go wide is pretty useful. I'm pretty certain they have a Shark here, so they're going to try to double block. Okay. Hagra's Mauling. Your sorcery speed. So next turn I can play out the Lurrus. Zenith Flare is hitting for 12. Probably play Drannith Stinger. The incidental damage will be good. Okay, Tome. This might just be Bone Crusher. If they play Bone Crusher, drawing a lot of lines here. I still think Drannith is the line here. This might be a counter spell. They could Shark for 1. If they do, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's make a token. What did they hit? Nothing relevant. I think we wait on the Startling Development. We don't get an extra token anyways. Might as well do it on their turn. Not give up the information. Anytime Zenith Flare is lethal, we won't attack in with Lurrus. But I think I have another Drannith, so we'll cast that next turn if they don't kill the Lurrus. Draw your cards. That's fine. Vortex in the side. Pop that in. The worst thing about these Grixis matchups, they take so long. Cool. Okay, so they have Footfall Crater, or we get Footfall Crater. Since we have the white, let's cycle this. This card's really good. Even in the historic colorless deck, it goes a long way. Okay. I'm going to hold the land in hand just in case they have Kroxa. Like, they don't play negate main, do they? If they have Jawari Disruption, I'm going to be pissed off that we didn't play the land. I guess if that was the plan, we should have played. Gotcha! Okay. So, Vortex in, Shelter. They're on things list, so I think we run it like this. The Shredded Sail's probably also good. So, get rid of Spikefield. Get rid of the developments. Get rid of Shatterskull. The nice thing is we played against Grixis 3 times. The first one was different. It was a Lurrus Grixis. So this one we're playing a little different. Actually, maybe I bring in Redcap, but it feels bad against Bone Crusher. I think we just do our thing. They were on the play that game too. One sec. I want to see if Croaky's list has graveyard removal. Sounds fine. I think we wait on Soul Guide. Kuroki's list plays 2 Cling to Dusts as graveyard removal. Just get this out now. I'd rather use this because it makes multiple bodies next turn. They're going to have removal anyways. It's kind of a given. And I want to use this when I can pick off a Kroxa from their hand. Okay, tapped out. The one thing with Extinction Event, we can go really wide, but they can just sweep it up that way. I might just play this out as an attacker. Ooh, Shredded Sails. I think we're going to blow up this. Yeah, we're definitely blowing up that. go red here. It's not the greatest. It's a 2/2. It's a bear. I just want to keep putting pressure on them. So I'm going to wait for them to make a decision here. And then I'm going to Shredded Sails to destroy this. Okay, they top it. It's most likely a land. And then we're gonna probably put Lurrus in hand. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, with more lands. It's probably just do this. Bring Lurrus to hand. If I can get Drannith Stinger out next turn, it'll be nice. Hopefully draw a cycle effect. Extinction event, we'll name even. They get in for 4. We might actually go Valiant Rescuer to make blockers. Yeah, let's do that. So they get a turn, they can kill Lurrus. I can't hold up the shelter with it. This might be Spikefield Hazard. This might be Extinction Event as well. Yeah, so they'll name it. Get rid of those. Okay, so we got Fox. So I think we cycle the second Fox. And now I have a protection spell up. We have evens and odds. So they probably took Crocs out of the deck, to be honest. So I'm probably going to cycle this. Okay, I'm not going to do this now because it gets me off that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I can do this. When they fetch, because now they have to have negate. If they don't have negate, they don't get that negate. That's fine. We have protection as well up. I still think that's right. You force them to have a 2 mana counter as opposed to 3 mana, where then they can have like Dispute and some other stuff. There is a play to do it on their end step. But they're in a pretty rough spot, to be honest. They missed a couple land drops if they tap out. Only 1 black source also means stuff like Hagra's Mauling gets shut off. So we'll give Pro here. They could counter it, but then they can't play out their thing. They take 6 damage. So really, we should have been 3-0. I misplayed in the first game. Yeah, Ivanian. I have to fix up the auto command, but give me 1 sec and I will put the Discord. That should take you right to the Discord server. So I did set up a Discord for the channel. I'll post all my deck lists, stuff like that in advance. Yeah, Shrifty. You can find it here. The one thing, we made a change, and I would probably go up 1 more. I'll update the Stream Decker. I had Felidar Retreat, but then afterwards I realized I only played like 17 lands. Roiling Vortex is very good in this deck. I would suggest playing that. Yeah, I'd probably play 2, maybe 3. I think that's where we'd want to be. I'll keep playing with this, test it out, but I think this was actually really solid. It's a fun deck. It's relatively cheap. Like, you don't need Shatterskull Smashing. You don't need these pathways. You only need this pathway. So really the deck is 4 rares, 5 rares. Yeah, we're doing this primarily because of rogues. There's also been some Omnath decks that are using the crab as well. But to be honest, there's not many counterspells. Like, we bet Grixis, which was the counterspell based deck. So the biggest thing is, like, you survive those early turns. The removal they're playing is Heartless Act primarily. So this gets around Heartless Act. It's very similar with mono green. If you can get outside of 4 damage or outside of Heartless Act, then they can't really kill it. They're not playing Eliminate as much, which would be good in our deck. We're able to split between Extinction Event as well, so there's ways around that. And then, like, we just won some games just Zenith Flaring. There's also not a lot of graveyard hate either. With Uro Band, we're in a much better spot. So this is definitely something you could do on a budget. To be honest, I don't even think we need the Shatterskull Smashing. Again, it's just a card with upside that you can play. You can also play like the white mythic one if you want to make some tokens. But I was actually really pleased with this. So as always, if you missed any part of this, the VOD will be up shortly. Once I wrap this up, I'll have up the full video on YouTube later, probably tomorrow. But you can catch all my content from there. If you do need another deck that's really good against Omnath and relatively good against the Rogues deck as well, this is Romty's Mono Green Stompy. I'm 11-2 with it. I just made slight variations. I went up to Cinder Barons in the Crawling Barons, and in the sideboard I'm playing one more Scavenging Ooze. Deck's very good against pretty much everything except Omnath Adventures, which is like 50-50. It depends. Like, I bet them once, I lost to them once. But this is another fun deck. It's a little bit more pricey with rares and mythics, but if you have the cards, it's another one I'd suggest. Let's pop over, see who's streaming. All right, Jaffer's on. We'll send over some folks. Jaffer's playing in the Channel Fireball tournament, so he's playing this mono green deck that I was just mentioning. So if you want to see it in action, do check out Jaffer. Another content creator. Anyways, appreciate the support, everyone. Probably be back tomorrow. Best of one, you're probably okay as well. There's even less interaction, so you can go super linear. So cycling generally does pretty well in best of one. But you can try it out.